You've already learned how we design our characters and backgrounds, but even the best graphic assets don't make a good game. It all comes down to story, the puzzles, and the gameplay, and that's what we want to talk about today. Everything starts with a white sheet of paper. Well, a digital sheet of paper, to be honest. We start with a rough idea about the story and the puzzles we want to include. As we keep closing the gaps, we end up with a walkthrough of the whole project. The structure of the game starts to form and the characters and locations begin to come together. Soon we start to see what the big beats of the story are, and the character arches develop. As soon as the walkthrough for one of the chapters is finished, we start to do the concept art and the 3D models, and then begin to write the texts. Writing the text for an adventure is pretty complicated.
What the hell are you? Whatever you are, you'd better make like a tree and get out of here.
Because you have to deal with the pretty big unknown, the player.
Too fat to be an elf.
Well, really, I am.
In a novel or a movie script, you generally know exactly what order things will happen. Say, for example, the wife of a protagonist asks him to get some milk. He goes to his car and notices a flat tire. So then he goes into the garage and gets some tools to fix it. In a point-and-click adventure, none of that is a given. It's a non-linear, interactive story. What if the player went to get the tools first and then fixed his car without speaking a word to his wife about the milk? Now think about much more complex scenarios in 15 different locations with 10 different characters and dozens of usable objects. That's a pretty big task, and in the case of the Book of Unwritten Tales 2, these different scenarios resulted in a 1,000-page script. So now it's time to create something playable. Our own prototype editor, Cape, uses a so-called state machine that is a visual approach to scripting. Each object in the game has a certain state that it exists in. For example, when opened, unopened, or just covered in troll snot. There are rules of how and when a state is allowed to change. So for example, we can tell a chest that it is locked until it is used by its key. After that, it's unlocked. So for every item and character provided by our writers, scripters come up with a defined set of rules. They also put some concept art and dummy graphics onto the prototypes so testers can get a better idea about how the final game may look.
Let's see. Why work when you can do magic?
At this point, all the puzzles, dialogues, and sequences are now in the game, and it's time to test everything. Writers then can play the game, change, add, or delete text on the fly. In fact, there's almost no text in the game that has not been changed at least once, and some of them 10 times or more. Finally, testers can try to break the game by playing it in as many strange ways they can come up with. As soon as the prototype is tested, we build all the 3D locations and characters, make all the animations and effects, and so on. But the core game, all the puzzles and the text, stays more or less the same from prototype to finished game.